In my never-ending quest to reduce friction in my workflow, one of the most mundane things that I have to do all the time is copy data from memory cards. Think about your process for taking data off of a memory card. First, you need to take the memory card out of the camera, and then you put the memory card into your computer, and you find your folder. After you wait for it to load for a moment, you find the pictures folder, sort them into the dates that you want, and then copy those files, and then find your destination and make a new folder and name it. And then you need to go back in and find video files, which are located in a separate spot. And then you copy that file as well, but you need to make a new folder for video. And then copy it over. Now maybe that didn't seem too cumbersome because it just took a few seconds and it was one memory card. But imagine you shot something with an A cam and a B cam, and then you had a handheld camera, and you had a drone, and you had two microphones that were both recording their own data, and maybe a few other things with memory cards in them. Imagine how annoying and cumbersome that would be to copy all of those things and then just sit around and wait. With 10 memory cards, that might take an hour. That might take who knows how long, especially if you need to kind of just sit around and move these files and then wait to put in the next files, and you're constantly just inputting commands and nothing is happening for you. I think I might have found a better way though. Look what happens when I plug into one of my memory cards that I've already set up to work with this system. First, you just take the memory card and you plug it into your computer. This is from my Sony a7S III, and watch what happens here. The memory card gets picked up by the computer, and then bam, you can immediately see that all of the files were copied over to my scratch drive in the camera ingest under Sony a7S III, and you have a bunch of pictures and videos. And if we go over to the Sony memory card, you can see that the pictures are located here and the video is located here. And you can also see that the XML file doesn't copy over with it because I don't use those and I don't want them. So it's just filtered out. And then watch what happens when I run this. So this command, when I pop a memory card in, will automatically format a memory card back to its default state and remove all of the video files and photos that I've taken already. It prompts me to do that, and actually if you try and do it while it's copying, then it doesn't actually remove anything while it's copying. So it's pretty safe. I've never accidentally messed up anything, and it's awesome. It saves me so much time, especially since I have multiple memory card readers. I have a memory card reader here, I have another memory card reader here, and then I have another compact flash express type A memory card reader here. With all these memory card readers, I can plug in 3 memory cards at a time, and they all automatically start copying. And when they're done, they format themselves and eject themselves, and they're ready to be put back into the cameras. How does it work though? So I use a program called Carbon Copy Cloner. I have no affiliation with them, and they have absolutely nothing to do with this video. It's a program that I've been using almost since I got my first Mac in 2007. Carbon Copy Cloner will do exactly what it's called. It makes perfect replica copies of file drives, structures, and all sorts of stuff. I used to use it to clone my Mac hard drives when I got a new Mac. So it would clone my internal hard drive, all of the file structures, the safety drives, and all the hidden partitions and everything like that. And then it would move everything over to the new Mac. And on the new Mac, all you'd have to do is update it and everything worked fine. I never had any problems with this. It was also useful to use a Mac as a monitor because you could boot from a USB in this way. So if you had a Mac with a failed internal hard drive, all you'd have to do is buy an external hard drive and run it through a Mac off of a backup, and that worked perfectly fine. I've used this program for so many things, creating boot drives, creating hard drives, but because I have so many devices and so many memory cards, one thing that I really wanted was for it to move files for me. And so that's kind of what I've set it up here to do. As you can see here, I have all of these like commands or tasks that run. And by the way, this doesn't really work on PC. On PC, USB can't trigger commands. So when you plug an SD card in, the best I was able to do with a program called Personal Backup was get it to prompt me to run a memory card task after I pushed a button to start the task. So that's about as close as I got there, but it still saved a ton of time, but you needed to do more than just plug in your memory card. So the tasks that I have here, let's look at the A7S3 task that I just did. So as you can see here, I have the ZV-E10 II, 2 Hollyland microphones. I have my Zoom H4e, my Mavic Mini 4 Pro, the Osmo Action 5 Pro, the Sony A7C II, and then the Sony A7S III. And what happens when you plug in a memory card is it'll run a few commands. So the first command, let's just do video, and this works separately for video, and I'll explain all of these to you. So firstly, when you plug in the memory card, it automatically looks for video files in the clip folder on the Sony A7S III. I'll actually plug this in here so that we can see. The source is the Sony A7S III clip folder, and the destination is the project files. So I have a folder called Camera Ingest, where all of the files from the cameras go on my scratch drive, and it sorts them by photo and video. So this one is set to dump all video files in the video folder. You can have it set to only collect MP4 files from the video folder, but because videos only go in that folder, I just have it collect the video files from there and not the XML files. The automation that runs here is that on disk appearance, it'll run. Whenever it's mounted, it'll run. I don't have any other rules or anything set there. Just when you plug it in, the task will run. I have the shield or the safety net set to do don't delete anything. You don't want it to delete anything on the destination folder, because if you decide, because what it's trying to do is clone the drive and make it identical. So if you have it delete things, then it'll delete all the files that are already in there. We don't want that. Just in case we haven't dumped that folder, we want to leave it the way that it is. But then to get it to format the memory card, I then have it run the format memory card command. So when you reconnect it, so this has the same trigger, but upon connecting the drive, it will initiate a task, but the task has to ask you before it runs. So ask for confirmation before proceeding. So this is kind of the big deal here. So you have to ask for confirmation. That's why when you plug in the drive, it will try to dump the drive, and then it will ask for confirmation to run this command, which is the format command. So there's like an extra layer of protection there, because if you didn't ask it for permission, it would just automatically format the drive, potentially while that was copying. I've never tried it without this, but when two commands run at the same time, I imagine that there'd be some kind of conflict there. So you're not supposed to run this command and click the OK button until after it's done copying. That's just a safety net that I have in there, and I mean, you can just do that right before you take the card out to put the next card in. And then I have this one, after you format it, it unmounts the destination drive. The safety net is off here. It does delete things, so just the safety net is off. I don't need a backup of all these things that, when ideally we would have already made a backup for it. And yeah, so you plug in your drive, it detects the videos, it copies them over to the ingest folder, and then the format So the format on these cards is really interesting too. So when you format the memory card on the camera, it'll default this to like an unknown drive or something like that. And I don't like that. So what I did was I formatted it on the camera and let it go back to all of its defaults. And then I renamed it to the A7S3. And then I copied all of these root folders here. And I made a series of these. They're the format folders. So you need to direct it to clone your drive from a place. And then, so I have different folders for each of my Sony memory cards because there are 2 memory cards and they both have different file structures for some reason. So I have them each pull their own. But yeah, so when you plug it in, it finds that folder and then it goes under working files, the format folder, and then it moves it over to the memory card. Once it's done, it ejects the file, and that's it. So that's for video. And then as you can see, or as you saw, it goes into the camera ingest under photo and video. It's separate. Photo is a little bit different, and I know that this used to happen to me on like Canon memory cards, and it happens to me sometimes on my Sony memory cards. So that's why there are so many options here, because Sony memory cards, or the Sony a7S III has 2 memory cards, and so I needed to set up a series of these for each memory card. So that's why there are 8 tasks here. The first photo dump task is for the 100 MSD CF file, and that is set up almost exactly the same way, except for it moves photos into the photo folder. But then, because occasionally the memory card will jump to a new folder, the 101 MS DCF file, I have that set up here too, even though I don't think it ever really gets run. Whenever the photos are copied like normal and then the format is run, then everything kind of just goes back to the 0 folder anyways, even if it did create a new folder. So you'll never get past 1. Ideally, unless you're just really using your camera for a long time, which, yeah, I don't know. You'd have to turn it on and turn it off a whole bunch of times and do something weird to it to get it to go up to the next level, but that's never been a problem for me, so I've never really worked on that too much. One reason you'd set a filter would be so that it didn't copy over any extra files that might appear in the folder. Like for example, in the memory card dump file here, it will always contain XML files, which I don't use at all. And as you can see, I have the XML files excluded, so it doesn't actually copy those over. It just leaves them there, and then when the memory card is formatted, it will format them off the memory card. If you leave them on there, then what will happen on the camera is that it will show that there's a picture there, but it won't be able to show it because it's not actually there. It's just the XML file, like saving space or something. So that's how I run automation. And you could imagine that even just recording something simple like a podcast with 3 cameras and maybe a couple of microphones would be so much easier if I could just plug these in. Even these Hollyland microphones, they plug in and they automatically copy over to their own folders. And yeah, it's just super easy. One thing that I thought of recently that I'd really want to do is under my camera ingest folder. Usually when I have camera ingest, I don't usually let things hang around in here for too long. I'll move them to a folder or something like that. But what I'd like to do is have it set up to automatically create a project folder for me. But anyways, I just thought I'd share that trick with you because I haven't really seen anybody talk about it. I don't know that anybody uses Carbon Copy Cloner for this. And to be really honest, other than one of my good friends who might have even introduced me to this a really long time ago, I don't think I've ever heard of anybody even talk about this program. It is regularly updated. It's really sturdy. I've never had any problems with it. There's a 30-day free trial for it. And I think it costs, it's a little bit more expensive than when I bought it, but it allows you to upgrade for 50% off. So I mean, if you were me right now and you wanted to upgrade to the new version, it would cost about 35 Canadian dollars. And they're not trying to like gouge me for money. I bought this program in 2021 when I came back to Mac. And I mean, it's still giving me updates. I'm still on the current one, and I think I maybe paid $40 or $50 for it 6 years ago. So that's my spiel. I think that would help out a lot of photographers and a lot of camera operators or people who deal with many memory cards. It's also great for just backing up your hard drive and just backing up your data. It does a full clean backup. I think that's it for me. Hopefully you found this useful, and yeah, see you in the next one.